Expressed by the guests and contributors on Conklin and Company are not necessarily those of 13 ABC. Now, Conklin and Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It is Take 3 time, and so much to talk about with our media partners, Tom Troy from The Blade and London Mitchell from Cumulus Radio. Let's get right to it. First of all, the day that perhaps this area hasn't seen ever, where you have the two presidential candidates, the incumbent and the challenger, less than 30 miles apart. Not quite at the same time, but in the ballpark. And London, I'll start with you. What do we take from what happened on Wednesday here?
I think we pat ourselves on the back and say everybody wants to be from the Toledo area because we were right in the heart of it. Yeah. But I'm not sure, looking at the polls, I'm not sure why Romney came. Why was he here? This was not his territory.
No, Toledo is not his territory. It's the belly of the beast, if you will. I mean, Lucas County was the third most Democratic county in the state in 2008 for Barack Obama. I think it was the work of the Republican Party. John Steinberg of the Republican Party wanted to have a big event in the Seagate Center, just like John McCain had 4 years ago. I don't know if it was a good idea or not. I mean, they did fill the place up, but they also attracted all kinds of protesters and controversy on the outside.
You got to give him credit, I think, for saying, hey, let's come on in the enemy territory. Well, Barack Obama went to Wood County. He went to Bowling Green State University, predominantly a young crowd there, basically pretty much in his corner, no question about that. But it was all supporters inside the Seagate Center for Mitt Romney as well.
They got a lot of national attention to the speeches, whether it was Romney country or not. He got a lot of national
Northwest
attention.
Ohio was the political center of the universe on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It certainly was. But London mentioned the polls, Tom. Anywhere from 5 points. The Ohio newspaper poll,
right,
and then the Washington Post.
Well, we had three polls. We had 3 polls last week, and all 3 of them showed Barack Obama widening his lead in Ohio over Mitt Romney. Romney's got to do something to connect with Ohio voters and make them comfortable with his candidacy. And of course, the bus tour. He and Ryan, I think, went to 5 or 6 cities in the state last week and tried to make the case that they're. But even here, I think. But Mitt Romney was fighting that backlash from his 47% remark, which I think probably had a lot to do with his poll numbers. How he overcomes that, I don't know.
And late this week, much of the attention turned to foreign policy and the unrest and the tension that's happening. Libya, Iran, Egypt, and Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu.
And there again, Romney and Ryan have tried to capitalize on that a little bit. But I think that they've backed off a little bit from their initial steps where they criticized the embassy for putting out what they said was an apology for U.S. policy or for that Islamic videotape. They backed away, and they haven't really stepped back up to strongly criticize the Obama administration, even though the Obama administration is giving them a little bit of ammunition in that they're admitting that there was al-Qaeda terrorism at play here.
London?
I just don't think that that's the big issue for most voters right now. What's going on over there on the other side of the world. There has never been peace and a calm atmosphere over there. I'm not sure that the voters here are really all that sensitive to it.
Well, and before Romney's speech on Wednesday at the Seagate Center, I talked to a number of people. I went into the crowd and I said, what do you want to hear from Mitt Romney? And almost to a man and to a woman, it was, how can we get more people back to work? And there's been some relatively upbeat news lately on the unemployment front here in Lucas County.
Ohio is a problem for Romney because Ohio has a recovering economy.
Yes.
And he's got a somewhat reluctant partner in John Kasich who really doesn't want to be part of a campaign to say how destitute and desperate Ohio is.
It's a push-pull, right? I mean, it really is.
And so much of Romney's message has been on China and China as cheaters. And I think it's hard for voters to make the connection what that exactly has to do with my community being stuck in a stagnant economy.
And there was some irony involved here. We've seen so many of the ads about being tough on China, Romney getting on the president for basically not being tough. And then we have all these Chinese investors coming in this week as part of the International Investment Conference that the RGP or Five Lakes Global is putting on.
And I think Obama actually might have been thinking about that because he said it's potentially embarrassing to identify China as a currency manipulator when we're actually doing so much business with China. And here, right in Toledo, we had Chinese investors.
All right, I want to go back. We see the president here at Bowling Green, but I want to go back to Mitt Romney. Not so much his speech, but what led up to it. Who spoke beforehand, Tom? In London, it was Mark Wagner, state senator. Then it was George Sarantu, city councilman, kind of trying to get the crowd revved up. George Sarantu running for recorder against Phil Copeland, a council person, and then Bob Latta, who was as fired up as I've ever seen.
Right.
I mean, never seen Bob Latta in that. In that mode, Tom.
Well, I don't think oratorical skills are required for the job of recorder, and that's a good thing. It was kind of amateur, not amateur night, but it was not the A-team. These other places where Romney came in Ohio, we saw Rob Portman, the U.S. Senator, we saw Governor Kasich, Jack Nicklaus. Didn't see that caliber of speaker. Bob Latta was the highest ranking Republican, if you will, and you're right, he was unusually animated. He's got a tough race this year.
Yeah, and I wanted to run that down because we saw Barack Obama mention Angela Zimmern at his appearance at Bowling Green State University. So with the redrawing of the 9th Congressional District, or the 5th Congressional District, pardon me, more Democrats, right? More Democrats involved, giving Angela Zimmern more of a shot?
Angela Zimmern is going around saying that this is a balanced district. This is a competitive district.
That's their
news
camp
to
is
Bob.
saying that.
That's
yeah.
news to Bob Latta. But in fact, there are Democratic-leaning districts, certainly more Democratic than what were there before. Sylvania, Maumee, Springfield Township, Ottawa Hills. These are districts where there are Democratic voters.
And Western Lucas County out in the Waterville area.
And I think it's a big, big change. There are a lot of people that don't know that they are in that district.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't vote in the primary, you may not know.
They might go to the polls and find out, oh,
where's Marcy?
Right. Exactly. So we have a 5th Congressional District, Dal Latta. We had Paul Gilmore, Paul Gilmore for 20 years, Dal Latta for 30, Bob Latta following. Now maybe there's a race here. There's a ball game.
That's right.
It would be fun to watch. Now, the conspicuous by his absence at the Romney appearance on Wednesday, Samuel Wurzelbacher.
Right.
Not there.
Right.
Okay? So any surprise?
No, not really, because I think as I read it, and Tom, you probably read a lot more than I do, but on the campaign. But I keep reading stories about how he's out west, where he's almost a legend, raising money for the Republicans, and he's out there. I don't think he's got the credibility here to be much of a player.
He's, the job of running for office is it's an audition for actually holding the job. And Joe the plumber is absent from these auditions. He's going door to door, we're told, rather than doing candidate forums with Marcy Kaptur, rather than taking the stage at the Seagate Center. Could have had a high-profile appearance, could have spoken to 4,000 people in one fell swoop. He's chosen to...
Or put an ad out there.
Put an ad out there. He did come out this past week on Friday, and he had a news conference. He announced he was being backed by a veterans group. So that was almost a first. That was one of the first events he's had in months.
Okay, so we have that, and also the fact that Joe the plumber, or Samuel Wurzelbacher, has agreed to debate on 13 ABC. We'll have the details for you coming up, but it will be 9th District Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur and Samuel Wurzelbacher right here in this studio debating in the coming weeks. So watch for that. And Tom, I know you're going to be part of that. We'll look forward to that. Both of you, thanks for coming in. We do appreciate it.
Good to be here.
So much to talk about this week, and it'll only get more ramped up as we move forward to November 6th. Thanks very much. London, Tom. That'll do it for this week's edition of Conklin & Company. We'll see you next week. Make it a great Sunday, everybody. Take care. I'm not sure.